Okay, thank you. I will call to order the Little Compton School Committee regular meeting on Wednesday, April 10th. If you could all please stand and join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And please join me in a moment of reflection. Thank you. Moving to the consent agenda, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 2.1 through 2.5.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Vote via roll call, please.
Hannah Ayotte,
Aye.
Megan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Susan Kinane,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Alrighty, thank you. And moving on to 3.1, public input. Do we have the list? Is there anybody for public input? Alrighty. With nobody signed up for public input, we'll move on to the Spotlight Spring Activities at Wilbur McMahon School.
Thank you, Chairperson and members of the school committee. If you had the opportunity to come this past weekend, our drama team, led by directors Noah Russo, Jen Segala, who is our choreographer, and Miss Nicole Oriel, put on the play The Little Mermaid, and I know many of the people were here, including some of the students who were behind us. They did an absolute fantastic job. I have to shout out not just the student actors and actresses and stage crew, but also the directors. You know, the hard work that they put in, really since the month of October, was truly phenomenal, and there are certainly some students that would not surprise me if we see them on Broadway someday. They did a fantastic job. Next slide, John. I also want to shout out Miss Annie Morley. Annie is in the grade 5 here at Wilbur McMahon School, and on March 16th, she participated in the Scripps Spelling Bee at Blackstone River Theater in Cumberland, Rhode Island, with 22 or 23 other middle school students throughout the state of Rhode Island. And Annie finished one consonant or one vowel away from heading to Washington, D.C. She finished in second place. She rocked it. The other girl, you can see, well, she's not up there, but she's also a fifth grader from a district in Scituate. But Annie did us all proud and served herself very well up there. As I've said before to Dr. Mitchell and to some of her teachers, young lady has a lot of poise and did truly a fantastic job. Next slide. I want to recognize our science teacher, Miss Marissa Brazil. She recently, actually the same day, March 16th at CCRI in Warwick, took 5 of our finalists with the spelling bee, and as she's going to talk about, again, they did equally superbly, I think, for lack of a better term. I'm going to let Marissa talk a little bit about each of the girls.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Girls, do you want to come up now? So that way they can see who I'm talking about because I'm sitting in front of you. Yes. I want them to see everything you won. You got it. Yeah, but face them so they can see. I know what you got. There you go. So on Saturday, March 16th, 5 Wilbur McMahon students participated in the Rhode Island Science and Engineering Fair. It's in ISEF, so International Science and Engineering Fair affiliated program that runs throughout the state. Because our kids are in 8th grade, they compete in the junior division. There's a high school division as well, and they will be contenders in that at Portsmouth High School next year. So the junior division this year consisted of 94 projects, which were the best projects from schools around the entire state of Rhode Island. And our 5 kiddos did extremely well. 4 of them were able to make it here tonight. So I am going to go from bottom to top. So Olivia Leach was not able to make it here tonight. She won a 3rd grant award. Chloe Oliveira is here. So Chloe won a 3rd grant award as well. And Chloe was also recognized for a special award. She received the Society of Women Engineers Outstanding Science Fair Project Award. Nicole Vashon received a 2nd grant award. In addition to that, she won a special award from the United States Office of Naval Research. She won the Naval Science Award. She also won the $150 bonus Visa gift card at the end of the ceremony, which I think she was most excited about, but all of her accolades are equally as important. All right, Miss Cheyenne and Suyai both placed as Best in Fair finalists. That means they placed in the top 10 out of 94 projects in the state. Cheyenne was a Best in Fair finalist and received a 1st grant award as well. Suyai Armananzas, when they announced this, I made an absolutely terrible noise and shot out of my chair. Suyai won Best in Fair, so she was one of the top 2 projects in the entire state of Rhode Island. She got a 1st grant award as well, just like Cheyenne did. Cheyenne and Suyai also qualified for the middle school national competition. It's called the Thermo Fisher Scientific Junior Innovators Challenge. That's an online submission, so they enter online, and if they make it down to the top 30 in the country, they'll go to Washington, D.C. for a week in September for the final round of 30. So we, from our tiny little school in the state of Rhode Island, out of a field of 94 projects that they competed in, we had 2 top 10, 1 Best in Fair, and 2 special awards. So I think that the legacy of women in STEM from Wilbur and McMahon is, kids in the grades coming up have a very, very high bar to achieve, because these girls did an amazing, amazing job with all of their hard work this year.
Yes, congratulations. Megan, you wanted to say something?
I just want to say congratulations. I had the privilege of attending the science fair, and I was just totally blown away at all of the projects. I saw all of your 4. I thought that they were totally, you rocked it. I'm so proud of you. A lot of you I've seen, like, I've watched you grow up, and it's just so amazing to see you come here and competing with all of Rhode Island and come so far. Just so, so proud of you guys. Keep it up.
Yeah, awesome. Superintendent?
And all of this happened during Women's History Month. So kudos to these young scientists. We are so proud of you, absolutely. And I've watched you grow up for the past 6 years, and I feel like I've watched you go from children to young adults. And I am so proud to serve in the district and within this school. Congratulations, and good luck, the 2 of you, for that online submission. We're rooting for you, and kudos to all of you and everyone who participated, every 8th grader, and the 5 of you who also cleaned up pretty much up in, at the States. Congratulations.
Yeah, Mike?
I have one question for the 4 of you. What would you say that you took away from the fair and the experience? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to.
We'll put Nicole on the spot.
I probably took away that Well, I thought it was going to be really stressful, but it wasn't. So I took away that you should just challenge yourself, because in the beginning when I started science fair, I didn't want to go to states. Like, I didn't want to win because I was scared, but I did, and then I went, and I thought it was actually less stressful than this science fair. So that's probably the biggest takeaway. You go.
I learned a lot about just a lot of hard work and interaction, because I know Miss Brazil had us do a lot of work. And I didn't think it was gonna make that much of a difference, but when we got there and we saw the other kids, it was like, wow, I'm so glad she made us do this, because my project would have not been as well without Miss Brazil. So just hard work.
Well, I learned that, that building off what Chloe said here, because I'm not original, Miss Brazil really helped us all, because we all complained about all the grades and all the work and all the display board checks and everything. And in the end, we all did really well, and I would like to thank her for that.
It taught me a lot that hard work pays off a lot more than a lot of us know, especially because I think we all struggled in the beginning and we're all extremely nervous for what was to come. But with all the hard work that we did, we all came much farther than we all expected, I think.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, girls. One more slide. Before I get on the solar eclipse, as you know, we're smack dab in the middle of assessment testing for the state of Rhode Island. We finished our ELA, Rhode Island Common Assessment System ELA testing last week with the grades 3 through 5. We start our math RICAS 2 weeks after we come back. I think it's the last day of April and the first couple of days of May. And then a week later, we jump right into the NGSA, the Next Generation Science Assessment. And then our 8th graders will be heading to DC as their year kind of comes to an end. Monday, we had a solar eclipse. We were probably one of the only schools in the state that actually embraced it, went outside. We were lucky enough, our school department purchased about 250 safety glasses to go outside and to view the eclipse. Obviously, the concern was, looking up at the sun, but the sun is out every day and we never seem to have that issue. So the kids were excellent. Teachers, certainly were outstanding, with their students, having 250 kids out on the ball field. The ideal time, or the pinnacle of the solar eclipse, was around 3:30, which is almost a half hour after the school day ends. And half the school stayed after school with many teachers to view the pinnacle of the eclipse, which was about 90% blocked at that time. They had a great time, a great experience, and hopefully we're all around in 20 more years to see it again. And that is what's going on at the school. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Were there other questions about the spotlight, or?
Yeah, the only thing I would say to the four of you is just remember that you can do anything, right? So this is, you had some fears and you conquered it, and it wasn't as bad as you thought. So just keep up the good work going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKinnon, for that update, and just another round of applause for our winners and for Miss Brazil and all her hard work with the science fair. All right, to 5.1, the superintendent report, capital plan update.
Okay, we have a homophone typo on the agenda. I will not be speaking about the state capitol building. I will be speaking about the capital improvement plan. So that got by me and a few of us after it was posted at the Secretary of State's site, so apologies for that. About 2 years ago, the Town Council did approve our 5-year capital improvement plan, and and are spending over $4 million over the next several years on capital improvements, deferred maintenance projects, and also various educational enhancements. And one of the projects that we're so proud of, and that was a long time coming, the pandemic sort of disrupted it for a few years, was the upgrade of this multifunctional space, the gymnatorium. Everyone hates that word, gymnatorium, but I don't. I embrace it. So about 3 years ago, we started. It was about a $300,000 project. About 3 years ago, all of those splits went up. We also removed the variable frequency devices that were on the stage that caused a lot of ambient noise during productions, during presentations, during meetings. And those were moved in one of the mechanical rooms. That was a huge undertaking. And so that was sort of phase 1 of this project. Phase 2 is, we're sitting in it, and that is new stage curtains, all new audiovisual equipment, et cetera. And if you caught one of the performances this past weekend, as I did with my family, your socks were just knocked right off by our incredible staff and students and what they pulled off. A world-class mermaid junior. You know, it was hard to believe that we had kids from grade 3 to grade 8, from 8 to 14, performing like some of them were like professionals. It was amazing. And a lot of the success of that project is attributable to our IT director over there, this enhanced space. So that's why I had the meeting moved into this room tonight, so that he could do sort of a show and tell, because unless you really see all of the new components at work within the space, it's hard to convey just how far the space has come. We also have other improvements that are in process right now. We have upgraded our kitchen that was without a range for about 11, 12 years. We got a grant for that. That's installed. We're putting in a commercial dishwasher soon, a Hobart. That was also sort of value engineered out of that last project in 2012 or so. We also took a large art space and reapportioned it to incorporate a Spanish, world language classroom and a design classroom. So those are all projects that we've completed this year, and the rest of the list is in various stages of initiation and/or completion. And we also have a solar project that is definitely airborne at this point. Every single piece is in place. Next is the construction of the array. And connecting it to the grid, and the school and town benefiting from all that. But without further ado, I would like to ask Jonathan to give us a sort of, primer on just what this new system does, can do, and how it is a benefit to the whole town. You may want to just start with what you did a few weeks ago with the garden clubs that approached you. And they were sort of your test case for a lot of the components on that Saturday. You had about 200 people?
Close to 300, I think.
300. Okay, take it away, Jonathan.
Okay, so let me turn myself up a little here. Hi. So yeah, as you mentioned, I think the most important thing to remember about this project is that it originally started, I think, pre-COVID, and really once the pandemic hit, it just didn't make a lot of sense at that point to invest a large amount of money on a public gathering space when we couldn't gather in public. Who knows when we could again, and by that time all the technology would be outdated or need some more work, whatever have you. So a little bit of that got deferred, and during that we took some more time to ask the town, ask our performing arts department, various other people, really what they need out of the space. And when we did kind of meet with everybody, we came up with a really exhaustive list and kind of found the the average things that everybody wants, the common points, and we really focused on those and tried to make it as easy to use for anybody as possible. So you've already seen some of the technology in use today. And the Garden Club did have a successful 300-person event. Was that the weekend before last, in here? And yeah, it did run great using all of this stuff. But everybody at the table has tabletop microphones that are completely wireless. Your board meetings, your town financial meetings, those kind of things, useful for those. You'll also notice on some of these tripods we have handheld wireless microphones. I'm wearing a headset right now with a body pack, and these can be modified to work with different types of handsets, headsets, plug directly into instruments for an accompaniment, that kind of thing. So really all of our wireless, there's 24 channels, so 24 things can simultaneously be happening, and it's all controlled through a mixing board over in this console in the back of the room here, and can be sent to any location, a live stream, our in-house speakers, what have you. Kind of side by side with that, you'll also notice a few other tripods. These here are cameras, also wireless. They work together to you put them in different spots around the room, and they all will virtually tie into a live stream, a Zoom call, our heads-up display if we want to demo something in person for a class, say. And those, actually everything here has about a 12-hour battery life. So it's designed so if you need it for the day, you put it in place and you can do anything you want without having to worry about plugging into the right thing or tripping over wires. You really just turn it on and hit the start button, which is kind of the level of easiness we were going for. Aside from that, you'll notice there's new speakers overhead. There is a really powerful multi-channel amplifier driving them, and it also has built-in sound processing. So a big problem we had before in this space, because it's so big and echoey, is when you get really loud things in the space, and you try to amplify people's voices, you get that feedback problem. So this system actively works to listen for that feedback, that additional noise, and try to prevent as much as possible of it. We might have a little work to do on the wind noises, but we've got the feedback pretty good too. There are still a few bits and pieces where we're actively working with engineers to tune the sound, that kind of thing. Part of working with these companies does include that. So they've been making regular trips back as we have events and provide feedback on what works, what doesn't. So they've been excellent to work with as well. But at the very least, we are certainly 99.9% done, minus a couple little minor changes we've learned in the past few weeks we want to make. Software, though, not hardware, nothing money related. Don't worry, Mr. McNamee. So other than that, we'll get up in a few minutes and you can actually go and look and see what the difference is. But before we do, feel free to look at that little poster board in the back. I kind of just threw it together. We saved a bunch of old clippings of different components of the stage. And this is why I had mentioned the project really had to grow kind of unexpectedly. So in the beginning, it was just an AV project. Turns out when you mount all of that lighting and that hardware, that really heavy equipment up there, you need a good structural system to support that load. You need all the proper engineering done to make sure that's anchored into your superstructure. So the scale of that grew very quickly. We didn't want to start hanging all of this equipment and have anything go wrong, have any of it damaged, anything like that. So on the poster board, you can see some of the old curtain, as well as some of a sample of the new one side by side. But you'll also notice a couple of things, like the old chain that was suspending everything. It is twisted chain, the same kind you can buy for like your dog run at Home Depot. With enough pressure, it actually just unravels, kind of like a twist tie if you pull it hard enough. A lot of things were secured with open S hooks. A lot of things were secured with rope or ties, holding like not heavy things, but things that weigh a couple pounds up in midair. And that little bar across the bottom, I think, was my favorite part. That was one of the curtain rods we had originally. It is a bent broom handle. So they got creative. They certainly did the best they could with what they had, I think. But the system had gotten to a point, or the infrastructure of the room had gotten to a point where it was also so outdated that we really needed to do something about that to make sure we're making a wise investment with all this equipment, but also, most importantly, that it was safe for everybody. So the project grew a little bit. Our wonderful business manager found a way to get us a great deal with the town where they're paying for part of this because they will also benefit from the space, not having to pay rental companies to run financial town meeting, that sort of thing. We found housing aid reimbursements. We found every last dollar we possibly could. So this is actually costing us right around the original $100,000 that was budgeted for it, even though the grand scale of the project ended up being about 2.5 times that when you include all the structural components and everything else that needed to be done. But thank you again, Mr. McNamee, because that would not have happened without him. So I talked a little bit about the audio. You can see obviously there's some cameras in the room. Last thing I'll mention before we can get up, I guess, really quick is the screen itself. It is a 266-inch projection screen, fully motorized, and you can actually see above the rear basketball hoop in the room. That is the projector that's casting that image right now. So it comes with a really long throw lens designed specifically for this situation, keep the image as crisp and bright as possible, even with the majority of lights on in the room. But we're also able to anchor it to a solid surface, not hang it from the middle of the room, so it's well protected against basketballs or baseballs or what else have you may decide to fly through the air in this room. So that is about it for the AV. Now there's one other component I didn't really talk about yet. I guess let's turn off a couple things here first though. So we're kind of done with that screen for the moment. Actually, I'll mention one more thing. You all have a pair of headphones on your desk up there. So if you feel like you'd like to try them, we do have what's called assistive listening devices as well. So anything you hear coming out of the audio in this room, anything being captured by our system, is also broadcast wirelessly on a frequency that these small boxes can pick up. I'm going to grab one, too few. So if you plug into the top of these boxes, there's a small headphone port. They're all brand new, so I'll get a couple more if you want to try it. The volume may be all the way down. You just have to turn it way, way up. But if you plug into the top of those, you have your own personal volume control. So for those that are hard of hearing in the audience, they can just plug into a pair of disposable headphones. We also have coils that are compatible with most types of hearing aids for those people. And they can have their own personal volume control wherever they're sitting. So short of all that, now that the screen's finally up, I think it weighs 700 pounds, I want to say, something like that. Takes a little bit. Now that that's all up, I can turn the lights off a little bit. So everything I'm doing from back here, like I mentioned, this is completely movable. It can be located here, it can be located in the back of the room. Normally, it's located backstage, but everything can be controlled from this console, regardless of where it is, as long as we have access to power. And that includes all of the lighting as well. So I'll just bring up a couple little scenes here, maybe. Oh, hold on a second, sorry. Wrong button. So you can see we can cast it in a nice blue light. I will be honest, I took a lot of these from the play. These were cues that they programmed into the system. It's just a great example. They did some really amazing things, stuff we hadn't even gotten a chance to play with yet. So we can do that. We could do like maybe more of a harsh red. Let's see, we could make it really ominous, and oh no, not that one. Hold on, here we go. I think they did lightning effects for parts of the scenes during the play. So they got really, really into it. And you'll also notice that there are moving lights in here. I think that one will keep going. Yeah, there we go. Another thing we were looking at for safety. It's very common that in performing arts, they want to make adjustments to these things. And the idea of getting up on a ladder in this room, we decided was not a good idea. So for a very small upgrade over the cost of a stationary light, actually, we decided to go with these gimbal-mounted lights, which can do really fancy animated things like that, but also just have the ability to be repositioned. So you can focus a light directly on a podium speaker or specific actor, without having to get up and physically adjust the lights. So I mean, that is the bulk of what I have to say. That was longer than I promised it would be, though, wasn't it? Otherwise, I would definitely invite everybody to take a walk up, if that is okay with our lawyer and chair. If you want to go ahead, I would walk up onto the stage and look straight upward. because that is where the bulk of the investment is. You'll see the screen, you will see multiple electric lights, electric rails, where all of the lighting, the backlighting, audio equipment, et cetera, is mounted to. And most importantly, you'll see, and I'll come up there in a second with a flashlight, all of the additional safety rigging and cabling that has gone into this space. Let me just pull up a little more lighting here, maybe. I mean, public also feel free to come check it out if you want. So again, the bulk of it, again, is in the structural work that has gone on up there. You can see everything is now welded chain, anchored directly to superstructure. All anchor points are a minimum 4-inch bolt directly into wood or steel surfaces. Whereas actually, if you'll notice on some of those open S-hooks that everything was suspended from before on that little diorama, some of them were anchored about 3/4 of an inch past the ceiling line, which is also the thickness of our drywall. So we were finding safety issues that definitely originated with the initial installation of everything in this space that we were remediating as part of this. Ooh, that's bright. I just looked at it. So as the superintendent mentioned, as you guys come back down, part of the changes along with the previous renovation that included the AC was moving those variable frequency devices out of this space into the subspace underneath the stage area. There's a boiler room down there with them all. I don't know if you remember typically when you were in here, in order to have the air system on, you heard a very, very loud humming in the past. It was impossible to get rid of. And it wasn't actually the moving air going through the air ducts. It was the electronic control system that was back here behind the stage, located above. So by relocating that, we were actually able to get 90% of the ambient noise out of this room entirely, which also just puts us in a better position for anything else we want to do in the space. But most importantly, when you're quiet, it's quiet. But that's about all I have. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them. There's a bunch I didn't go over. All the microphones are rechargeable. They all have nice little docks and appropriate storage backstage. We put extra rigging in to accommodate backdrops and rear projection units so that they can get really fancy with plays. There is a whole list of additional things I could go on, but I'm sure you don't want to hear that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gabriel, for that very thorough presentation. I have to say, this is a vast improvement from what was here when I was a student here. I used to be in the musicals with Mr. Whitehouse, and when we performed in this room, which wasn't often because of the poor acoustics, we actually built a stage off the stage so that we could be heard better. So even just walking in this room today with the way the meeting has been set up is just a vast improvement to what we had previously, and I think it's not only great for this school, but for the town as well. So it's great to finally see this project kind of come to completion. So thank you. And other questions from committee members?
I just went from the superintendent on the capital plan, but as far as the AV, I am good. Everything's great. It's a big improvement. I got to work with it 7 years ago when we first, as you know, we had limited.
Well, and I think it's not uncommon in schools, especially schools without a big theater program, that you kind of piecemeal together what you can with the materials you can. An opportunity to take advantage of this much extra funding and reimbursement from different sources to get all this done in one shot doesn't come very often. So you guys approved the project a couple of years ago, and we haven't forgotten about it. It's been a labor of love, I guess you could say. The labor part is accurate. But no, it came out really nice, and we're happy to provide something back to the town as well for their investment, certainly. I have to go meet with them, I think, next week to talk about financial town meeting and some of their things coming up and how they want to handle that. I think the last time, I think the rental for a setup like that is somewhere in the $5,000 range for a single day. So right there is a huge savings to the town on an ongoing basis. Never mind everything else. Hopefully we have the opportunity to leverage. So thank all of you.
So I guess my question is back on the capital plan. I thought we were going to see a capital plan tonight. I thought that's what you were going to present to us, an actual plan of what we were going to do over the next 5 years and what it was going to cost. I didn't see that in your presentation. Do you have that?
Yes, that was the update of this year's projects. I can absolutely do that in another meeting, perhaps.
That's fine, just so we can share that with everybody, so we have it out there. This is what the 5-year plan is, and this is what we expect it to cost over the next 5 years.
Right.
I can certainly mention that to Travis too, that we just had the update for this year's projects, but we'd like to see just a reminder of the whole outlook for the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
I'm good on that, thank you.
Everything looks great.
Alrighty, moving along to Mr. McNamee and the finance report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The financial statements for the 9 months ending March 31 are included in your packet, and I've also have a projection for the end of the year. It looks like we're going to be moving more towards a deficit of around $85,000, and that is really being caused by our out-of-district tuition. We have an increase in our career and technical education tuition over budget by about $50,000. We have more students going to the Met and to Newport Career and Tech than we had initially planned. Our Portsmouth High School tuition numbers are on target. We had budgeted, I believe, 82. The third quarter billing had come in, and we were at 81 students, so we're in pretty good shape on that. And our out-of-district special education tuition is up over budget by approximately $37,000 due to some increased tuition at that level as well. So that's really what's driving the deficit at this point. We'll refine these numbers as we move through the end of the year, and some of those expenditures for utilities and whatnot will come into focus as we finish the heating season and whatnot. So, and also, like in the electricity, the virtual net metering agreement was supposed to be in effect. Well, it was supposed to be in effect no later than December 31, but that's getting pushed. My understanding from Town Hall that we should be seeing something, if not this month, certainly by the beginning of next month.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions for Mr. McNamee?
Yeah, just on the net metering, that's the Warren project that we're referring to, correct? So,
Right.
So is that project not even online yet? Are they producing or not producing? So,
Yeah. I think the issue is with Rhode Island Energy and the transfer of getting that power from the net metering site to the grid. That seems to be the issue, and I've heard it in a number of different projects. That's really what the holdup is. It's not necessarily the project being delayed, it's getting that hookup to the grid that's causing the problem.
So realistically, we're here in April, we may not even see that, any benefits from that this school year, because by the time you build the credits and it gets hooked up and build the credits, and then by the time we get anything back out of that, we're not going to see.
We may see 2 months of it. We may see 2 months of that, which would equate to about a 35% reduction in the electricity costs for May and June.
Okay.
But
Alrighty, any other questions or comments for Mr. McNamee? Okay, moving to committee reports. 7.1 Policy Subcommittee Report. There is nothing to report this month. 7.2 Portsmouth School Committee Liaison Report. That's Travis, and he is absent tonight, so we will hear from him next month. 7.3 Wellness Committee, Ms. Susan Kinane.
We had a meeting at the end of March. Sorry.
There we go.
Welcome to
Takes some getting used to,
2024.
right?
Okay, way out of my comfort zone. Anyways, we had a meeting at the end of March, and Lori already told you they put a new range in, and they're talking about the dishwasher. They had Wellness Week, and the kids got to do something different every day, and they did smoothies and stuff. The staff had mental health and social and financial, and they talked about the things that they did for their health in those departments. Jack told us about how they reduced all their waste from 3 barrels down to a half a barrel a day in the cafeteria. Sorry. And the composting is going well with all that. And the kids had a food drive, and they collected about 450 items for the bank, the food bank in town. And all is well.
Awesome.
Next meeting is in May.
Alrighty, thank you very much. 7.4 Town Recreation Committee Liaison Report, Mike?
It was pretty much a light meeting. We talked about a couple of things. The dugout on first base, the roof is in need of some repair, so we actually reached out to a contractor to take care of that. And also put into a safety, I'll say a safety ballard, so that kids do not run into the roof, because the roof is very close to the actual walking path. So from a safety perspective, we're working on that. And as far as that the town will be installing the new ordinances, the new town, how should I say this? Leash law that just got put into place. It was just a follow-up on that. But other than that, there wasn't much going on.
All right, thank you. Oh, yeah, of course.
The concession stand, is it the rec committee that takes charge and ownership of like getting that up and running?
It actually falls back on Little League.
Little League? Okay.
That's Mike Babola is the one that's in charge of that. You have to reach out to him.
Any other questions about any of the reports? Okay. And then lastly, 7.5 Negotiation Subcommittee Report. Megan?
We have met twice. Our last meeting was today at 3:30, and we are making progress, and we will reconvene and meet again soon. That will be announced. After vacation.
Okay, great. There are no discussion items tonight, so I'll move to 9.1 School Committee Member Requests for Information from Administration and/or Legal Counsel. Does anybody have any questions or requests? Alrighty, then I will consider a motion to adjourn.
So, motion to adjourn.
Second. I guess roll call vote. Travis has been doing that. Roll call. Aye.
Megan Gonzalez.
Aye.
Susan Kinane.
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
All right.
Great, thank you all so much for coming, and we'll see you next month.